On Thursday, August 15th, during lunch, I heard our behavioral teacher call on the radio to administrators for assistance. When I arrived, the teacher and students were outside the classroom. One student was holding his head, having been assaulted by the student remaining in the classroom. I entered where the student was still irate and found the room ransacked with overturned furniture. I knew I had to be as calm as possible, and I spoke lowly and slowly so as not to enrage him any further. He picked up a chair and acted as if he would throw it. He finally did throw it at me, but I caught it midair. He picked up another chair to throw at me when another assistant principal entered the room. I used the first chair to block the second. He picked up a third and threw it at the other assistant principal, and I used that initial chair to block the one that he threw at her. After blocking the chair thrown at the other assistant principal, he threw a wooden hanger at me, but I couldn't stop it fast enough. The hanger hit me in my right eye and knocked it out of the socket. I grabbed my face while blood was pouring out of my head and stumbled out of the classroom door. The nurse and 911 were called. I asked for my cell phone to call my husband to come get me, not realizing the extent of the damage. When paramedics arrived, they determined I would need to be airlifted to Parkland Medical Center in Dallas. I underwent surgery as soon as possible, and doctors were able to reinsert my eye. However, they determined I had been blinded and currently believe that my damage is permanent. I will have to have an additional surgery to repair my eyelid because doctors are believing, I'm so sorry. I underwent surgery as soon as possible, and doctors were able to reinsert my eye. However, they determined that I've been blinded, and they currently believe that my damage is permanent. I will have to have an additional surgery to repair my eyelid, and because doctors are believing my blindness to be permanent, removing my eye may have to be an option.
This is rough right here, y'all. This is sad. This is unfortunate. And you got to put yourself in that position sometimes from both sides. And this should never happen to this teacher. This is an assistant principal. Y'all heard the story, what she said. It was an irate student. And what's really sad is what she said about, checking herself before she went in there to, handle the situation. Made sure she was calm, made sure she spoke in the right manner and not infuriated the student anymore. And this still happened. And this student was, off the rip, angry, emotional, uncontrollable. And this is somebody's son. This is a little monster that someone raised. And I'm being as real as I can with my people with situations like this that should not happen. A lot of times we are raising our young boys and girls in a way where they get out in society and they act like this. They get out in society and they hurt someone or they get hurt. Black parents are raising monsters. You're raising emotional wrecks. You're raising physically violent young girls. I can guarantee you that young brother that threw a hanger and knocked this sister's eye out, and she possibly is going to be blind for the rest of her life in her eye. The doctor said possibly. So there's still a little bit of inch of hope that maybe her eye can be recovered and maybe some of her sight can be recovered. But I guarantee you that this student didn't have a father in the house. I guarantee you that he didn't have a father in the house. And so a lot of times we act like this problem or the problem when you see youngsters out in the hood acting a damn fool. This problem is not your problem. Like correcting someone else's child in public when you're seeing them going off is not your problem. That's how we look. We think we're individuals and things don't affect what we got going on in our family, in our households, but it does affect our households, how somebody is not raising their child, or how somebody in our community is instilling bad values in their child will come back and bite you. Maybe your child might have to deal with their child bullying them at school. Maybe your child might have to deal with their child trying to fight them at school. Maybe you might be a victim of their child when you're just trying to work a job and they knock your eye out. So it all matters. We're all connected as a community. We done lost it. I know we done lost it. We think we're individuals. At one point in time, Black people looked at the betterment of all our people. And you couldn't go through the neighborhood acting a fool. You couldn't behave in a certain way where you wouldn't get checked. But a lot of the problems that you see with the youth today, it goes back to the parenting that we are not doing within the home. A lot of the stuff that we're doing is just giving kids what they want, giving them tablets, giving them toys, and not actually rearing and raising the children, just feeding the kid and having, putting food, clothing, and shelter over their head is not raising a child. You have to teach them right for wrong. You have to teach them respect, because they're going to get out there in the world and not respect nothing. And they're going to come across the right one. And then you'll be on the news crying. These little youngsters that's running around with guns in their waist, these brothers that's making, the choice to follow people out in the streets and to follow everybody that has a story or everybody that thinks they tough, that comes from in the home, by not instilling in them how to be a leader and not follow the crowd, not do what everybody is doing, not agree with how everybody else thinks in America. I teach my kids to be independent thinkers. Society is not always right. This society doesn't even have morals anymore. So you have to be an independent thinker, or this world will eat you up in any shape, form, or fashion, whether you are the bully or you're the victim, because the bully is going to meet his match, and the victim of that bully might just snap and do something that they regret for the rest of their life, or live a life where they're always aggressive and volatile because how they came up, but they never was taught how to maneuver. That's what you got to do with your children. Sorry that this happened to this sister. This should not have happened to this sister. This should not have happened to this sister. It's a sad story. But also, we as a community have to start caring and raising children that become responsible, emotionally intelligent teenagers into adults.